Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how to set up your structure when you're looking at doing a new build project. Congratulations on your new build project. I'm really pleased that you've decided that this was the strategy to go. Now, as you might imagine, different strategy means different structuring, and really it's kind of key that you do consider all the options available to you. Now, there tends to be a couple of different options, but the option I'm going to talk about today is buying your new build project through a limited company. Now, the reason I'm talking about doing things in a limited company is because of a few different factors. One of the key factors in this is to do with the limited liability. Now, obviously, you are going to be building this project, you are going to put your heart and soul into it, you're going to make sure that it is really good and nothing wrong happens. However, if something does go wrong, we want to be protecting your liability. We don't want you to be losing everything if something goes wrong, like the house falls down. So by buying it in a limited company, this means that you will have a limited liability. So you'll only be liable for what happens in that company. So this just ring fences any other personal assets, whether that be your own home, investments, or other properties that you have in your property portfolio. The second reason is to do with risk. Now, we want to reduce risk whenever we're doing anything in our business life and keep our risk to a minimum. But by putting it in a company, this means we can close off that risk when the project is completed. Now, what I mean by this is obviously you don't want to keep doing different projects in the same company to find that in 5 years' time, this project that you've done today has had a problem and now you're liable for paying out for things on that project in 5 years' time. Now, this might be impacting other projects that you're doing in the future, which obviously you don't want to be having that impact. The benefit of having your project in a company is when all of those properties are built and sold, whether that be to a third party or you might move it to another company in your group if you're looking at retaining that property and renting it out, is that that company that's had the new build can be closed down. So that closes off the liability or any risk factors from that project completely. So you're not going to be getting any claims in the future, and that will all fall back onto the warranties that you need to have in place for new build type projects. Other things that you need to consider when you're doing these types of projects include VAT. Now, why mention VAT for a new build project is because when you sell that property as a new, freshly built property, you sell that property at 0% VAT. Now, it's likely that you're going to have to be VAT registered because your property hopefully is going to be worth more than 85,000, the VAT registration threshold, and that therefore means you will have to register when you sell the properties, whatever happens. But when you're building those properties, you're likely to be incurring some VAT, whether that be on some materials, on some tradesmen, on some professional fees, accountancy fees. All these different things may charge you VAT at different rates depending what the VAT thresholds, what the VAT rates are at that particular point in time. Now, the benefit of this is if you're VAT registered when you start the project, you can start claiming back these expenses from day one. So that's just potentially save you 5 or 20% VAT when you're having to incur these sorts of fees. So that's great news, and I definitely look at the video to do with registering for VAT. The other aspect that we need to consider is also CIS. Now, CIS is the construction industry scheme. So depending how you're building it, whether you've got your own build team, whether you're getting a contractor in to do the whole project, you'll need to look at CIS registration. Now, this is because you are a developer, and developers need to register for Construction Industry Scheme, or CIS, and then do the appropriate returns each month. Now, check out the separate video which talks about what CIS is and how it all fits together to find out more information. The key thing I think you need to take away from today is that you need to be aware of it and you need to do something. Now, the final point that I wanted to mention in this short video today on new builds was when that project has finished, what you'll then look at doing is either taking a dividend out for the profits or looking at closing the company down and looking at something like entrepreneurs relief to really keep the tax bill down to a minimum as you finish this project. If you have a group of companies, it may be you take all the profits up into the holding company and then you look out for the next development project, the next property you want to purchase, whatever is the direction you are taking your property ventures into next. If you are not going to be moving it into another company, you can then take it out personally to use the funds in an appropriate manner. I hope today you've discovered how it all fits together with a new build project and a bit of an overview of what you need to be considering when you're taking on this type of project. Please leave a comment with the biggest challenges you faced when dealing with a new build project. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Let's make tax less taxing.